Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today in this difficult time to discuss our subject, safety first, selling in a time of crisis, COVID-19, which is a black swan event. How many of us expected anything like this to happen, even a week or two ago with the implications? So first, safety, and then what, if anything, can we do from a selling perspective? And we'll draw on some of the ideas from my book, Innovate Now. So thank you again for joining us. Usually I'm very upbeat, but I believe we're all a little somber today. Why do we ever get together? Why do we set aside time to improve? We draw on the metaphor, the central metaphor in the book E-Myth, why small businesses don't work, what to do about it. The problem is most of us spend too much of our time working in the business and not on the business. And when we get together in a scenario like this, it's a time to be thoughtful about what we're doing. And we all know our minds function best when they're open, like a parachute. So a good first step is to be aware of what's going on and how does the coronavirus compare to other things that could be lookalikes like the seasonal flu or the common cold. I have a chart on that up on the screen, and if you don't have access to it and you want it, just send me an email and I'll send it to you. But some of us right now, we could have colds and we're worried that we have coronavirus, which could be more deadly. So as you reach out to the marketplace, obviously our first step is safety. To communicate with our audience and convey our safety plan. What are we doing to keep everybody safe? That is, of paramount first step. Right? So that's the general public. To specific clients with whom we're interacting, we're going to want to tell them what are our plans insofar as them. And, we might want to have a one-to-one contact on that if we have some ongoing interaction. For instance, I have a client, rather a colleague who cleans buildings. You could imagine that they're overwhelmed right now with requests for deep cleaning. And as a matter of fact, the other day he told me he's having trouble getting chemicals. He can't handle all the work that's coming in. So some people are in great demand right now because they supply and affect the safety of organizations. So what's the next step? You've identified to your audiences what you're doing to maintain safety. Is there a desirable next step? Pardon me. Well, the safe thing to do is to wait. Wait until somebody calls you. In other words, pure customer service rep. You're sitting by the phone, you're accessible, you give out your cell phone number, email address. I'm here if I need you. A question we're going to explore now is this in the best interest of your clients for you to be passive? That's the question we're going to explore. And under what circumstances should you not perhaps be passive? Now, in this discussion, we're assuming there's no lockdown, right? Because that would change all the rules. Right now, the rules are we're working remotely to a large extent, gatherings of no more than 10 people. But organizational life goes on. If there's a lockdown, that would be a deeper issue, and many of the things we'll discuss today would not be pertinent. So we're going to look at two selling cases here. Pardon me. One when we're a trusted advisor and one when we're not a trusted advisor. How might we act in these two cases? Now, again, the first step is appropriate as we describe our steps, our safety steps to all stakeholders, including clients, how we're going to keep everybody safe from COVID-19. And our concern is to honestly show our sensitivity at a time of national crisis. But then again, we're left with the issue, do we wait? Do we wait at this moment? Now, for both cases that we're going to look at, which is we are a trusted advisor, we're not a trusted advisor, we're going to look at it through the lens of must have. There are things that are must have and there are things that are nice to have. And more than ever, we're going to focus on the things that are must have. What are must have items for prospects and clients? So the first case is we're a trusted advisor. What does that mean? Well, at one time, like many salespeople, we could be seen as self-interested, but now we're a trusted advisor. And the best case is that the customer calls or emails you for advice. And I've been fortunate to get quite a few of those calls. So I've heard from most clients. 2 of them have converted on-site training to remote. 1 has postponed training for a month. I mean, these things are possible right now. So when they reach out to you to talk about their needs, perhaps to postpone, this could be a sign that you are a trusted advisor or on the road to being a trusted advisor. But let's assume for the moment they don't call you. What should you do if you want to reach out? Well, first watch for signs that they are responding, messages to their constituencies, and indications that they, your customers or prospects, are stabilizing. They might be open to a call or an email exchange. So a soft outreach, I would give it probably a couple of days, but a soft outreach, an email or a text is the timing okay to talk? I have a few ideas that might be helpful. And by the way, this could be a good time to refresh your GoToMeeting PowerPoints, which will be a large part of our next webinar in 2 weeks, selling remotely in a time of crisis. So once you connect with somebody, since you are a trusted advisor, it's easier to ask the first question. Well, first make sure everybody's okay and see, can we help? And they may tell you how you could help. But in any case, it's a good idea to bring ideas to the meeting, new ideas. What can you bring to be helpful? So we're going to do something a little unusual at this point. We're going to do a little exercise, and I'm going to invite people to share the wisdom in the room. And, might not be a good day for it, but it might be. It's a time for brainstorming and thoughtfulness. So you could use chat to share your ideas if you want to be in on the conversation. So the question is, what ideas will you bring to a customer? Here we're drawing on Bacon's New Organon. Bacon is the father of modern science, and he wrote this work, the New Organon, in 1620. It's a work on induction. It's a work on brainstorming, on creating, on bringing out new ideas. And personally, whenever I'm stuck, I have what I call an induction worksheet. It's the way I ideate, I create new ideas. And I suggest to you that besides being calm and being sympathetic, this could be a time for new ideas. So if you're interested, send me an email and I'll send you a copy of my induction worksheet, which has a series of prompts to create new ideas. One of the ones I find particularly valuable is the one of instances of transition. How do you discover a new idea? By looking at instances of transition. So what is an example that we get from Bacon? He says, look at the moment that ice becomes water. Look at the moment that ice becomes water. Okay. So that's a moment of transition. That's a moment of transition. Now, can we apply this thinking to our situation right now? What would motivate a C-suite executive to talk to you? This is a moment of transition. Before, he or she is not talking to you. Afterwards, they are talking to you. So on times of crisis, What practical ideas do you have on safety and health, on decentralizing the administration of a business? You may have clients that have always operated, like in a central hub, and all of a sudden everybody's being sent home. And if you have ideas as to how to do that effectively, I would think an executive would want to hear about it. Building trust. If we're used to meeting each other all the time, if we have meetings, if we see each other in the office, at the water cooler, um, that contributes to building trust. What do you do in a time when you're used to doing business that way and you can't? What ideas do you have to bring a C-suite executive? Here's how you could build trust. Just here's some ideas. How about improving communications? Isn't it said that something like 90, 93% of our communication has nothing to do with our words? I'm making up the numbers, approximately. I'm ballparking it. Like 60% or more is our body language. Maybe 30% is our tone of voice. And the rest of it, 7%, is our words. So anything that we could do to help people improve communications, or anything that's implicit in our product that helps them improve the quality of communications, I think at a time like this would be extremely valuable. All right. I'm looking for the wisdom in the room right now. If you would like to, first I'm going to ask you to be thoughtful for a couple of minutes. I'm going to go quiet for a couple of minutes here. I'm going to ask you to take out a piece of paper and do an induction exercise with me. Pretend we're in Bacon's New Organon. By the way, that's a study of heat, just as an aside. But what is it that you can do in this moment of transition to go from dark to light, to go from no meeting to a meeting? They want to talk to us. What can you do? So I'm going to be thoughtful for a minute or two. Maybe you're already doing something. Maybe we could help each other. I have a few more ideas, but I just wanted to prime the pump. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute or two now, and I'm going to encourage you, pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and jot down one or two ideas, and then use the chat if you'd like to share your ideas, because an essential part of all teaching I do is drawing out the wisdom in the room. It's the best part of any seminar that I give. And so I'm going a little over the edge here. I don't know if this will work. It's an experiment. But if anybody has an idea that they'd like to share, if they'll send it to me through the chat vehicle, I would be grateful. So I'm going to be quiet for a couple of minutes to give you a chance to work, and then I'll share ideas that have come in, and then I have a few more ideas to share, and then we're going to continue with the webinar. So I'll be quiet now for a minute or two. And again, if you want to share an idea, please use the chat, and then I will share it with the group. I'm going to give it one more minute, and then I'm going to continue. All right, here's an idea that's come through. If you're in good financial shape and you know you have a client that's a little edgy, um, one of the ideas is perhaps you could extend dating terms, and this is how you could help somebody in a time of crisis. So thank you for that. I'll give it another 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on with the rest of our presentation. So another idea that came in is sponsor educations, um, do educations remotely. Okay, well, thank you for the wisdom in the room. Let's continue now. I have a couple of other ideas to share here. All right, helping build on, draw out the cohesive leadership team. At a time like this, it's important for the leadership team of an organization to function cohesively. Anything that you could do to provide stability to an organization would be extremely helpful. I have a colleague that's with a financial institution that's working right now to make sure all their clients are financially stable. Any products or services that you offer that include the above should be valuable right now to C-level administrators and executives. So I would suggest to you that a key right now is your brainstorming. What are you going to do that could help bring stability to an organization and maintenance in this very difficult time? Bear in mind, if there's an organization that's not used to working remotely, they're going to go punch, jump, go stir crazy. So trainings like the one that we're all in right now, if you could bring this and offer this periodically, I think this will help maintain the mental health of an organization. All right, let's look at case two. Let's say you're not a trusted advisor yet. You're not a trusted advisor. The competitor is a trusted advisor, and you are at best are trying to come in on a transactional basis. Is there anything you can do to level the playing field in this most difficult of times, right? So the ideas that we were just talking about, if you reach out to prospects, these are ideas that could level the playing field. Right? And what's another way of looking at this? And this is a generic selling idea, but especially right now, is the prospect is on a false peak. So the essence of the selling program is that the prospect is looking down. He or she is looking inward, and they're missing a higher peak of well-being. And so the essence of persuasion is the prospects looking down, and we help them look up. And so that if you have any strong ideas to help people in this most difficult time, even though if they're not a trusted advisor, you're not a trusted advisor, even if they're not a client, prudent, wise C-suite executives should be willing to speak with you. Bear in mind, we really have to honestly keep the focus on the must-haves, not the nice-to-haves. So if your solutions help organizations transition to remote operation, operate remotely, maintain morale and culture in remote operation, that's what we were just talking about. This is a key idea. How are we going to keep people together so they don't get stir crazy? Executive decision makers will want to hear from you. When there is stabilization, or to help reach stabilization, it may make sense to reach out via email. That may be a good way to make your first outreach. Showing sensitivity is key. Bear in mind that compelling problems remain compelling problems. And after organizations adapt to the new normal, they're going to deal with compelling problems. In promoting this webinar, this was my subject line: safety first, selling in a time of crisis. I hope I'm delivering on it. The response rate were off the charts. The subject line had open rates 20, 50, and one or two cases might have been 100% above normal. And the click-through rates in some cases would normally at least double, triple. I think we had 10 times. So this is a kind of a subject line that I would submit to you that appeals to audiences right now. Not selling in a time of crisis, but whatever you do in a time of crisis. Once organizations are stable, right, they will be receptive to other solutions. Issues that were backburnered during the conversion to remote operations are still issues. In this time, self-care is important. Maintain your health, of course. I think it's a time to be reflective. I'm a little bit put out that the two places where I go for yoga classes are now shut down, but I could do yoga in my class. It's a really good time to be inwardly reflective. It's an opportunity to learn, to read, to discuss. If you have specific issues you'd like to discuss, I encourage you to reach out to me. And just as an aside, the reason why I'm able to quote Bacon's New Organon is I've belonged to a philosophy club for about 22 years where we meet every 3 or 4 months. We read a work of philosophy and we discuss it. So if you'd like to discuss a philosophical issue at this time, reach out. Do your research. This is a great time to do research. Do research on prospects. Do research on existing customers. Get ready for when the spigot is fully open. It's a great time for brainstorming. I've tried to lead you today, I hope I did an okay job, in a brainstorming exercise using one of Bacon's rules of induction, looking for moments of transition. I strongly urge you to take advantage of this time to brainstorm, come up with new ideas. Well, we all know that Rome wasn't built in a day, so we've just about come to the end of today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. Our next remote webinar, which is going to be on remote selling, will be in 2 weeks. So we hope you join us then for more tips on remote selling. And I'll be sending out an invitation to everybody who joined. So if you have any questions, call me at 201-415-3447. My website is www.urgencybasedselling.net. So thank you for joining us. And that brings us to the end of our webinar today. I wish you the best and hope to hear from you soon. I'm going to end the webinar now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.